Let's take a look at problem 2-4A. We've got to do journal entries, we've got to do T accounts, and we've got to make a trial balance. This is a terrific problem, if I do say so myself. Let's read through it. Teacher's pet tutoring service provides extra help for students. The company has been operating successfully for several years and has the following account balances entering April. So this is the first one of these where we are joining a company in progress. All the other ones, we are starting a new company, issuing common shares for cash as our first transaction. Well, this one, the company's up and going. They've got cash, accounts receivable, supplies, they got some computers, they have some debts, accounts payable and a bank loan, common shares, and retained earnings. So they've given us some opening balances. Those will be relevant for some of our journal entries, and also when we make T accounts and the new trial balance, those will be very relevant. We're given a bunch of transactions and we're asked to prepare journal entries. Now, I always think it's sensible for students to try to work on these problems out ahead of me. You should be downloading the problems, and if you don't know where to get them, just myname.com, tonybell.com. You click the PDF, look at that, it just loads right up. You don't have to sign up for anything. There's the PDF, and you can scroll through and find this problem. You can also find, about a third of my problems are free and open on YouTube. About 2/3 are members only, so if you're looking for more, scroll through and you can click on any of the members only links and it'll take you to a sign up page. But certainly I hope the free videos are useful to you, and this is one of them. So we are asked to prepare journal entries, and I've laid it out here. Now, I keep this rules of journal entries in my mind. If I want an asset to increase, I debit it. Crediting an asset makes it go down. Liabilities and equity are the opposite. Debiting those makes them decrease. Crediting them makes it increase. Revenues, because revenues, expenses, and dividends are sub-accounts of retained earnings. They're sub-accounts of equity. So revenues always make your equity go up. Expenses and dividends always make your equity go down. And therefore, revenues always take a credit because that makes equity go up. Expenses and dividends always take a debit because that makes expenses and dividends always take a debit because that makes equity go down. Okay, let's do a bunch of these journal entries. April 1st, it says paid off the account payable owing from March. Well, how much did I owe from March? I got to look back to the problem description, and it says we had an account payable entering this question of $300. So it's saying we paid off this old account payable. Okay. First question, I'll always ask this, did cash change hands? The answer, yes. Is our company's cash going up or down? Our company's cash is decreasing, right? We paid. So cash is an asset. It is decreasing. Let's credit cash. So I credit cash for $300. And the debit, as you might guess, is accounts payable. Why are we debiting accounts payable though? Because you can just figure it out looking at, well, it's a credit to cash. I got to debit something. But why does debiting accounts payable make sense here? Well, accounts payable is a liability. It says, I owe you money. Well, if I pay you, I don't owe you money anymore. We have to reduce our liability. How do I reduce a liability? I debit it. So I debit AP by $300. And April 1st is in the bag. We'll go more quickly from here. Paid $3,000 advertising for advertising for the month of April. So we paid some advertiser to advertise our business. Paid is a key word here. Did cash change hands? Paid. Yes, of course. Our asset, cash, is going down. We need to credit cash. The debit related to advertising. What do you suppose that would be? Well, it's an expense. Debit advertising expense by $3,000. That's good news because we always debit expenses. And we're on to April 4th. And just keeping something in mind here. I've mentioned this a few times through the videos. You want to have a good journal entry, a date. Well, I did the date in advance, but you should be dating every journal entry. An amount debited, an account debited, and an amount. An account credit and amount, and the amounts need to be equal. You can have more than one debit, more than one credit, but the amounts need to be equal. And the last thing is a description. But in my class, I don't require students to write a description because this is the description of what happened. It's given in these questions. Okay, Let's continue to April 4th. Purchased supplies on account. Okay, did cash change hands? No. So when cash didn't change hands, I think, well, what did I do? What did I buy? In this case, I bought some supplies. In our class, supplies will always be treated as an asset initially. Again, some classes, it might be treated as an expense. Our class, we consider supplies an asset that we'll use up over time. So we bought an asset, supplies. Our supplies are going up. We have more supplies today than we had yesterday. So let's debit our supplies asset for $1,000. What's the credit? Well, not cash. If we buy something on account, the liability is going up. I owe my supplier more money today than yesterday, so I credit the liability related to this, and the liability is AP, accounts payable. I bought something on account. Collected the $1,500 receivable from March. If we look back to the question, we will see we had receivables of $1,500. Now it's saying we collected that $1,500 receivable. So did cash change hands? Yep, cash is an asset. It's going up. We debit cash. The credit here, well, it's a receivable we collected. Receivables are also an asset. When somebody owes us money in the future, that is an asset. Well, they don't owe us money anymore. So we have to get rid of that receivable. That's an asset going down. The AR is going down, so we credit accounts receivable to reduce that asset to zero, to bring that AR down to nothing. April 8th, received but did not pay a $250 electricity bill. Did cash change hands? No. What is an electricity bill generally going to be? A cost, an expense. So our debit is an expense related to electricity. You could call it electricity expense. I would be tempted to call it utilities expense. So that's what we'll call it here, $250. If I got a bill that I didn't pay, unpaid bills are payables. And the most common is accounts payable. And before I had the bill, I didn't owe the electric company, or I hadn't recorded that I owed the electric company $250. Now I got to say, oh, I owe these guys $250. Credit AP, credit accounts payable, $250. An employee who was short on money borrowed $500. He signed a note and promised to repay the company after payday. He's a good employee, and the company chose not to charge him any interest or fees. Well, this is interesting, sort of a paragraph where our previous journal entries had just been sentences. Did any money change hands? Yes. Our employee borrowed $500 of money from us. So it's our cash. Cash is an asset, and our cash is going down. We're giving the guy money or loaning him money. So let's credit cash for $500. What do you suppose the debit should be? And there's a few options here in terms of language. This is, I think, broadly a note receivable or an employee loan receivable. I think either one of those is fine. I think because it says he signed a note, I'm going to call it a note. Notes receivable, but I actually think employee loan receivable is also totally appropriate here. It's a special situation. You might even create a new account just for this one thing because it's a weird circumstance. There we go. April 15th, we pay our employees' salaries, a very normal journal entry for us. Paid salary, so paid $4,000. Cash is, of course, an asset, and it is going down, so we credit cash. Our debit here, well, is salaries. And what are salaries typically? An expense. So we debit salaries, expense, and we credit cash for $4,000. Let's continue. The employee was a person of their word. After payday, they gave us back the $500 they owed. Terrific. Is cash changing hands? Yes. Is our cash going up or down? It's going up. We have an asset. It's going up. So let's debit that cash. And what's the credit here? Well, if we called it employee loan receivable, we would credit employee loan receivable. This is a note receivable. So we rip up that piece of paper. He gave us a piece of paper saying, I, Joe Smith, promised to pay you $500 back. They paid us back, so we rip up the paper. They don't owe us the money anymore. So let's rip up that note receivable. That's an asset. We want to make it go to zero. So to make an asset go down, you credit the asset by $500. April the 20th. Borrowed $10,000 from the bank with the intention of purchasing new computers. Again, intention does not matter here. What happened, right? I went to the restaurant. I thought I was going to buy a salad. I ended up buying a poutine, Canadian French fries covered in gravy and cheese. I don't get to say, well, but I had the intention of buying a salad, therefore I bought a salad. No, who cares about the intention? We borrowed money from the bank, $10,000. Did cash change hands? The answer is yes. Cash change hands. Is our cash going up or down? It's going up. We borrowed cash. So cash asset goes up by $10,000. Debit cash, $10,000. What's the credit here? Well, you borrowed from the bank. I would suggest this is a bank loan payable, a bank loan situation. A bank loan, what is it in the categories? Asset, liability, shareholders' equity, revenue, expense, or dividend. Of course, it's I was just about to say asset. It's a liability you owe on a bank loan. So it's a liability, and we owe the bank more today than we did yesterday. We're going to credit that liability to make it go up. Credit bank loan payable for $10,000. April 21st, we did use the money to buy new computers, but not all of it. $8,500 to buy new computers. Let's assume cash. I'll probably write that into the question here. Purchase new computers for $8,500 cash. Did cash change hands? Yes. Is our cash going up or down? It's going down. Our cash is decreasing. Cash is an asset. It's decreasing. We credit cash. What about the other side of this? Well, we got computers for our cash. Let's debit computers. Some people might call this equipment, and computers are an asset. They're going up, right? Some people might call it equipment. I think computers is fine. Separate it from equipment. 8,500. April the 24th, received and paid the telephone bill. $150. Did cash change hands? Yes. Is cash going up or down? Down. Cash is an asset, going down. We credit cash. The debit related to a telephone bill is telephone expense. $150. Beautiful. Next. Paid employee salaries. Well, this one's dead simple. We've done it before. We paid salaries, so we credit cash. Cash, an asset going down. Credit cash. $4,000. And what are salaries? They're an expense. Debit salaries. Expense. $4,000. Next. Paid the electricity bill that we received on April 8th. That I can't remember. I got to scroll up. April 8th, utilities expense. There we go. $250. Okay, so we got the bill. We didn't pay. A couple of weeks later, we pay it for $250. Did cash change hands? You bet. Is our cash going up or down when we pay a bill? Our cash is going down. It's an asset decreasing. We credit cash. $250. The debit when you pay off a bill that has already been recorded, right? We already recorded the bill. It's not utilities expense. We don't want to double count it. It's debit to AP. That amount is no longer payable. We are reducing our liability to the electric company. It was $250. Now it's dropping by $250 down to $0. April 30th. Billed $18,000 for the month of tutoring service, collected $16,000, awaiting payment on the remainder. This is kind of an unrealistic transaction. I'll explain why in a moment. This is sort of a summary transaction. So during the month, we tutored, let's just say we have 180 students. They each pay $100, maybe they get a couple of hours of tutoring service a month, and 180 divided by 100, 180 times 100 is $18,000. So we bill them $18,000, we collect $16,000, we're waiting for payment on the rest. Let's just do the journal entry and I'll explain kind of how this would really work. Collected $16,000 in cash. Cash is going up, so it's an asset going up. Debit cash. 16,000. I'm going to leave room for another debit. If I billed $18,000 for tutoring service, why did I do that? Presumably because I did the work. This is a tutoring company doing what it does to earn revenue. And even though I wasn't paid for everything, I earned $18,000. So I'm going to leave room for another debit. I'm going to credit tutoring rev for $18,000. So I billed and earned $18,000. I collected $16,000. What's the other two? The other two is receivable. I'm owed $2,000. Receivable asset goes up. Debit AR by $2,000. So we've done the journal entry. Let me explain this one quickly, why it's unrealistic. Realistically, let's just say we had a client come in for tutoring, and let's just say it's $100 a session, right? 2-hour session, $50 an hour, something like this. I would go each client, debit cash, credit tutoring rev for $100. And then some small percentage of the clients don't pay, and for them I would go debit AR, credit tutoring rev, $100, or however the system works. And I would do that same journal entry like 100 times, 180 times, every customer that comes in. So why is this a bit unrealistic? Well, in the question, I don't want you to do the same journal entry, this one 160 times, this one 20 times. That gets us up to our 16,000 in cash and 2,000 in AR. We just summarize it into one step. So, there's AR being, collected through the period as well. And there's just steps being kind of skipped in this summary. And the reason is I don't want you doing hundreds of journal entries as this company would do. So there you go. We've done all of our journal entries through April 30th. As always, if you make it to the end, don't be shy about hitting those buttons. It really does help me. I appreciate your being here. In the next part of the video, we'll do a trial balance. Stay with me. See you soon. The next video in our series is right up here. And if you want a supercut of all of the videos in this series, that's the one down below.